Hello, in this video we are going to continue our discussion of tissues, looking at connective, nervous, and muscle tissues in more detail. Starting with connective tissue, this is going to be the most prevalent type of tissue in the body. In this image, the connective tissue is actually the blue staining tissue that you see surrounding the purple staining tissue. That's more of the epithelial cells. So connective tissue is going to be made up of both cells and non-cells. So the cells are going to share a common origin. They're all going to be derived from a type of embryonic tissue known as mesenchyme, while the non-cellular component is going to be the extracellular matrix. So this is going to be stuff that's secreted by the cells and ultimately separates the cells and helps bear their weight and withstand tension. So the extracellular matrix is going to consist of two components, the ground substance and the connective tissue fibers. All right, so the cell types include mesenchymal cells. So these are going to be the adult stem cells that can give rise to new mature connective tissues. Other types of cells that you'll find here include adipocytes. So these are going to be fat cells that store energy. Macrophages, so these are large, irregularly shaped cells that engulf and break down foreign materials. And then fibroblasts, and that is just one example of cells that we refer to as blast. So if it ends in blast, that indicates that it's a type of immature cell that will secrete their own extracellular matrix. They actually mature into cells that we refer to as cytes, which maintain the health of the matrix. Some cytes can revert back to the blast form to help repair the matrix. So examples, so fibroblasts differentiate into fibrocytes. Chondroblasts, which you find in cartilage, are going to differentiate into chondrocytes, and osteoblasts are going to divide into osteocytes. So the immature blast form are actively dividing, while the cyte form is not going to be actively dividing. There is a major exception that we'll talk about when we get to connective tissue, and that is blood. Blood is immature. The mature cell is the hematopoietic, the immature cell is the hematopoietic stem cell that's not going to be located in the tissue itself and does not form the matrix, which is going to be a fluid matrix. All right, so the extracellular matrix is going to consist of ground substance and connective tissue fibers. Different types of fibers include reticular fibers, so these are going to be short, fine fibers of collagen. They form networks that surround blood vessels and support soft tissues. So reticulated means network, so a reticular fiber is going to be the network of fibers. There are the collagen fibers, which tend to be thicker. They are going to be tough and provide high tensile strength, in part due to the fact that they are thicker and also that they form cross-links. There are the elastic fibers, which are going to be long, thin fibers that form branching networks. They contain the protein elastin and can stretch and recoil. You find these more prevalent in places where elasticity is needed. And then the ground substance is going to be the interstitial fluid, as well as the cell adhesion proteins and the proteoglycans. So a proteoglycan is a protein that's attached to a glycosaminoglycan. The proteoglycans then are going to help to intertwine and trap water within the tissues. All right, so if we look at the different types of connective tissue, all connective tissue is going to be made up of mesenchyma, or derived from mesenchymal cells, as we mentioned earlier. You have the four main types, which include proper, bone, cartilage, and blood. Proper is going to be divided up into either loose connective tissue or dense connective tissue. Loose connective tissue can be referred to as areolar, adipose, or reticular, while the dense connective tissue can be either regular or irregular. Cartilage is also broken up into other categories. So we have hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, and fibrocartilage. All right, so here's a picture of the mesenchyme. You can see that there are mesenchymal cells present. It has a ground substance that is fluid and fairly sparse, with fine, very few fibers found within it. All right, areolar connective tissue. It is going to consist of collagen fibers, elastic fibers, as well as fibroblasts. Will also contain things like macrophages, white blood cells, and adipocytes. The other fiber types, the reticular fibers, are also present. They're just not well visualized in this image. It functions by helping to support and bind other tissues. That's a function of their fibers. The ground substance holds body fluids. It helps defend against infections due to the white blood cells and macrophages that are present. And fat cells present there are going to help to store nutrients. They're widely distributed under the epithelial tissues of the body. So you find it in most places that you find the epithelial cells. Adipose tissue is going to have a matrix like areolar, but more sparse. It is largely going to consist of vacuoles, which are lipid droplets of the adipocytes. While you can see that the vacuoles are so large that they tend to push the nucleus to the edge of it. Adipose tissue helps to serve as a reserve energy storage capacity. It helps to insulate, cushion, and also will support and protects. You find these under the skin as subcutaneous adipose tissue, around the kidneys and the eyeballs, and then within the abdomen and breast tissue. Reticular tissue is going to be made up largely of reticular fibers with other cell types present. Has a loose ground substance. White blood cells, mast cells, macrophages, all of those are going to be present in these tissues. Functions, they're mainly there to support other cells, mainly immune cells, and that is why you find this primarily in the lymphoid organs. Dense regular is going to consist primarily of parallel collagen fibers that you see here, and have a few elastic fibers. The cells that are present are mostly going to be fibroblasts. So they function to attach muscles to muscle or muscles to bone. So you have tendons that are going to attach muscles to bone. You have aponeuroses that are going to be flat sheet-like tendons that are going to attach muscles to other muscles and bones, and ligaments, which are going to bind bones together at joints. The ligaments tend to contain more elastic fibers than tendons, which will make them slightly more stretchy. Dense irregular connective tissue is going to contain collagen fibers as well, but they're going to be irregularly arranged. Also, fibroblasts are going to be the major cell type. helps to withstand tension that's exerted in multiple directions and will help provide structural strength. You find them in the fibrous capsules of organs and joints. The dermis of the skin, the submucosa of the submucosa of the digestive tract. All right, elastic fiber or elastic dense regular connective tissue is a type that has a lot of elastic fibers present. So we're still talking about dense connective tissue. It differs in that it has more elastic fibers present, which allows tissues to recoil after stretching. You find these in the walls of the large arteries like the aorta, as well as the walls of the bronchial tubes, thus aiding in the passive recoil of lungs following inspiration and helping to maintain the pulsatile flow of blood through the arteries. All right, this brings us to the cartilage. So we have three different types of cartilage, first being hyaline cartilage. So you can see the cartilage is going to consist of chondrocytes that are found within these structures known as lacuna. And then these are going to be surrounded in the matrix. The matrix is amorphous but firm. The collagen fibers are going to be present but are going to really be an imperceptible network. The chondrocytes are going to be in the lacuna, while the chondroblasts are what form the matrix initially. So the hyaline cartilage will help support and reinforce as well as resist compressive stress. Distribution, you find it in most of the embryonic skeleton, covering the ends of long bones in joint cavities, forming the costal cartilages of the ribs, and you find it in the cartilages of the nose, trachea, and larynx. All right, elastic cartilage is like hyaline, but it has more elastic fibers. The chondrocytes are still found within the lacuna. You still have the matrix, but then you see the elastic fibers are going to be more visible. It functions to help maintain shape while allowing for more flexibility. You find this in the external ear and in the epiglottis. Fibrocartilage is similar to hyaline, but less form. It is going to have thick collagen fibers that predominate, and you'll still see the chondrocytes in the lacuna. The function, so it provides tensile strength that allows it to absorb a compressive shock. Thus, you would find it in the intervertebral disc, the pubic symphysis, the disc of the joint, places that will have compression forces regularly put on them. Bone is going to be a hard, calcified matrix that contains many collagen fibers, but then the lacunae here are going to contain osteocytes instead of chondrocytes. The central canal is going to be serving the overall structure of the bone, providing vascularization to the tissue. It functions to support and protect, serves as a lever for muscles, and is going to be a major site for calcium storage and the site of hematopoiesis, which is where the manufacture of blood cells. So you find this within the bones of your body. Blood, so blood is going to consist of a fluid matrix known as plasma, with red and white blood cells present in there. Red blood cells being very more abundant than the white blood cells. It is unique in a number of ways. So the matrix is fluid, and the progenitor cells are going to be found in the bone marrow instead of within the cells itself. So it's different from from the other connective tissue, but still derived from mesenchyme, thus the reason why we classify it as connective tissue. So it helps to transport respiratory gases, nutrients, waste throughout the body, and you find it mostly within blood vessels unless you have the blood vessels break and blood go out from there. So normally found in blood vessels. All right, this brings us to the third tissue type, which is the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is going to consist largely of neurons, which are going to be branching cells, and the neurons are going to consist of a cell body with the long processes coming from them. They also are going to consist of supporting cells that are known as glial cells. The functions are going to be to transmit electrical signals, to help communicate in the body, thus respond to stimuli. The distribution, you find it in the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. We're not going to talk too much about nervous tissue now because we're going to emphasize it more later on in the semester. And this brings us to the three muscle types. So first we have skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is going to be long, cylindrical, and have multinucleated cells with obvious striations. So you can see the muscle fiber there, the nuclei that are close in close proximity, and the striations that go through the muscle fibers. Functions: involuntary movement and manipulating your environment in locomotion. You find this in skeletal muscles. Cardiac muscle, so this is going to be striated like skeletal muscle, but it will also contain intercalated disc, which are connections between cells within the cell within the tissue itself. Will be uninucleate instead of multinucleate, and differs in that it is branched where you have the cells coming together and not still being unique cells, but connecting at these specialized junctions that we call the intercalated disc. Functions, so it's going to be found in your heart, and thus will help to propel blood throughout your circulation, or blood into circulation. Is a type of involuntary muscle. And then finally we have smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is going to be uninucleate. It lacks striations, and generally you are going to find it in organs, especially the walls of hollow organs, so arteries, veins, the digestive tract, the respiratory tract. It helps to propel substances or objects along these internal passageways. And as I mentioned, it was involuntary. I know we went over muscle cell types and nerve cell types fast here at the end. We will be exploring those more later this semester when we get to the muscle and the nervous systems, so stay tuned for that.